The law of relativity states that nothing is big or small until you compare it to something. Now, this is a universal divine principle. Nothing is big or small until you compare it to something. Now, when we're talking about business, we're talking about money, we're talking about giving away $100 or $20 or whatever it is that you're giving away. Those numbers are not big or small until you compare it to something. And several people have compared it to, like, this is, something so small. How could this have such an effect on my business? The universe doesn't see small. It only responds to the action. That's cause and effect. When you give, it must come back. And it doesn't measure it, right? It doesn't go, oh, you only gave $20 and this person gave $100, so we're going to send you a little bit less and send that person a little bit more. The universe doesn't work that way. That's judgment. That's judgment. It honors the gift. It doesn't matter what the gift is. It doesn't matter how big or small you think the gift is. It also doesn't matter how big or small the person that you give it to thinks that it is. It honors the gift. So whatever goes out from you must come back. How does it come back? Like, how does it materialize in your life? It will come back according to your expectation of the reception of the gift. So if you want it to be bigger, it's not that you have to go out and give bigger. Although I will say that there's definitely a correlation between, if I give larger amounts, the chances that it raises my internal expectation of what comes back is a very real thing. Okay, that's a very real thing. But if I just go and I give that $100, how it shows up for me might be different than how it shows up for you, because my expectation of what will show up in my life is different than yours. And that's not a judgment, right? That's a self-image problem or issue or benefit. The more you expect to come back, and here's the thing, this is another thing. So see, this law gets a little tricky. There's kind of you could call it ego if you want. It's like when somebody says, I expect millions to come into my life and all that. They say that, but they don't actually believe it. So they never get it. When you're doing your business, when you see the things in your life that you readily see come in, right? A $10,000 sale, a $15,000 sale, whatever it is, right? It sets an expectation in your mind. So when you think of sale and you think of business coming in, you think along the lines of the growth that you've already established. So unconsciously, that's where your level of expectation is. This is why I talk about the idea of don't be focused on debt and pay your bills on time. Because when you don't pay your bills on time, you're setting an expectation that there's not enough, and you will never get out of that problem. You keep thinking, I'll get out of it when I get to this other place. No, you won't either, because the expectation's not changing. If I say I can't pay my bill today, I'm setting up an expectation saying I don't have enough. And then the belief in my mind says I don't have enough. So I literally think I don't have enough when there's more than enough there the whole time. But that's where I also stop my pursuit of more. Well, it's the same way every month. I'm trying to get there. It's where it stops. In sales, this has an enormous effect on sales. You have to ask yourself, in a sales conversation, what do you expect? Do you expect them to say yes? Do you expect them to say no? Do you expect the sale to be difficult? Do you expect them to try to bargain down whatever your offer is? Do you expect to get what you're charging? Right? You got to go through a lot of different layers. And that expectation is then backed up by belief. The belief is backed up by experience. Very important. In the Matrix, we talk about changing your psychological expectation of what you desire. Only you can do that. Now, you can use the $100 gifting as a way to help you do that, right? Because why? Because it gives you a reason to expect, okay? Somebody might say, well, is that a bad thing? No, not necessarily a bad thing, right? But it's a truth thing, right? It's not like it's not true. That happens a lot of times. Ideally, we want to get to the place where we get rid of that, because it's very similar to the lines of trading. We should, apart from our giving, just expect the abundance that we set for ourselves in our mind all the time. The good is coming to me all the time, right? Millions are coming all the time. And really work into that belief system and then work into the behavior sets that go along with it. And that will change the expectation. When you give away understanding how the law works, right? It's not about how much you give, it's the fact that you give. Now, if it becomes a matter of how much you give in your mind, it will totally affect what's coming back to you. Because if you say, well, I'm not going to give 100. I could give 100, but I'm not going to give 100. Things are tight right now. I'm not going to give 100, right? I'll give 50. Now, when you do that, you instantly took this gift and you brought it down to the idea that you don't believe that there's enough. So the energy that goes behind that will reciprocate in your life. And it'll show up as you got something, but it ain't enough. See, whatever we're experiencing is a reflection of the way that we're processing the information in our mind. So again, the law of relativity, nothing is big or small until you compare it to something. So then what is it? It just is. The human mind gives it the meaning, right? So again, the pivot point, right? I'm the center of my universe. Ask yourself, what is my expectation? Because you can set it at whatever level that you want. And this is also why it doesn't, like, major success in your life doesn't have to be hard at all, because the universe doesn't understand hard. That's a human concept. The universe only understands cause and effect, give and take, not hard. If you expect it to be hard, then that's what you will find your experience to be. If you expect it to be easy, that's what you'll find your experience to be. But you must behave according to your expectation. And always remember what I say. When you say, God, let this be easy. Here's this goal. I want it to be easy and fun. That does not mean lazy. That does not mean lazy. That does not mean sitting on the couch watching Netflix and pounding a bag of Cheetos, right? That's not what that means. It means ease of effort, right? Because hard is the perception in our own mind, right? Nothing is big or small unless you compare it to something. Nothing is hard or easy until you compare it to something. Everything just is. Everything just is. So the combination of that understanding in our mind, what does it do? It completely determines our experience. 100%. If I say, wow, this is hard, I've just labeled my experience. And to me, it's going to be hard. If I say, wow, this is easy, I've just labeled my experience. And to me, it's going to be easy. Now, it's okay to do that because we were given our intellectual capabilities are also so that we can enjoy life on the physical level. But you're either using your mind for, toward yourself, toward the heaven that you want to be living in, or you make a hell of everything by naming it and blaming it, this is bad, this sucks, this is hard, whatever. Then that's what that becomes. Your life becomes a reflection of that. The line at which you stop is of your choosing, right? The line of which you stop is of your choosing. The abundance is already there. But if you're not experiencing the abundance, it's because you're stopping short of the line. Now, what controls the line? What you think about yourself. What's your expectation? That's what stops. That's what is in where you stop. The outside world is not stopping you. The universe is not stopping you. Other people are not stopping you. You stop you. And it's the hidden line in which you say, I'm not doing any more today. I'm not making another call. I'm not going to go out on the street and talk to people. Whatever it is, that's the line in which you stop. And what's underneath that line is the false belief. It's a belief, but it's a false belief that you're not going to win. So you stop short and play it safe. Everybody who wins in any undertaking either consciously understands this or they develop an understanding of this, that they're always going beyond that line. They're always doing a little bit more. They're always providing a little bit more service. They're always asking for more sales. Because the only way that you can get wealthy is to create more service. It's the only way. But if nobody crosses that line of, well, this is just enough, right? We got just enough. We're okay. We're 10% ahead of what we need to pay our bills. We're fine. Let's take the weekend off. Then that's where you stay because you stop short of the line. I was telling somebody the other day who's really doing a fantastic job. Like every single month, the goals that he's reaching for their sales is going up and up and up and up. But here's the thing. If you look at it, while on the surface he's winning, he's making gradual progress because he's thinking gradual progress. Still winning, still making gradual progress. Now, if you want to make a quantum leap, you've got to change the way that you think. Instead of doing 10% more this month, what if you did 100% more, 500% more? It takes no more energy to think big than it does to think gradual. Same amount of energy. The way to do it is already here. The question is, where do you stop? So it all begins with this idea of big or small, like this is big, this is small, the internal self thinking ourselves big or small. So anything that you can do to increase your own consciousness, to increase your own skill set, especially where it plays on the line of what it is that you want, you become better. As you become better, you can command more. Like the old saying is, don't be bitter, be better. Go back, like if you're stuck somewhere, go back and study it again. Go back and take another course on it again. Continue to do it until you become a master at whatever that thing is. Because then it's no longer a problem in your life. And you're able to go on to the next thing. But the average person stays stuck at the same flipping problem for almost their entire life. Same problem, different day. And they don't know to be better. Here's an interesting thing. I've mentioned Earl Nightingale. That's because I'm listening to his Lead the Field program currently in the morning, because I just love that program. In my opinion, Lead the Field is probably the most fundamental, accurate, precise program that's ever been written for personal mindset development, right? Like how to view the world, right? He just nailed it with that program. Anyway, over the years, I've had many clients that they'll get into Lead the Field, they'll get into the science of getting rich or whatever, and they'll come up to me and they'll say, why isn't this in our school system? And I will say, because they don't want it in the school system. Well, I'm going to be the person that changes that and bring it to the school system. And I'll give them some caution and I'll say, there's nobody going to let any of this information in the school system. Well, how could you think so small? You say we can do anything and everything. And I said, you're going up against an organization that does not want to change. There's no value in the organization changing. There's value for the kids, no, without question. But the people that run the organization, they don't want to change. You'll never get it in. And I've probably seen a couple hundred people actually try. Never get it in. Because there's two problems. The people that run the educational department, they don't want that information in there, telling people that you could be anything that you want to be. And a lot of the parents get extremely offended when you start telling the kids that they can be anything that they want to be. I've seen parents go to parent-teacher conferences, scream at teachers because a teacher told a kid that. Who do you think you are telling my kid that? He can't be that. It's a really hairy area. Now, what's the point? The point is that wonderful idea, how can I change the world, right? How can I change my world or whatever it is that you're looking at, that you're like, hey, I'm passionate about a problem. But you can't change a person or an organization that doesn't desire to change. They have to desire to change. The only other option is to get rid of the organization. However, you're not going to change somebody that doesn't want to change. You have to know that. If you are going up against that in your own life, you have to take a step back and rethink. Because why would you go after something or someone that literally does not want to change? They don't want to hear it. Like it's not welcome into their life. Well, number one, you're going back into the drama triangle and you're becoming a rescuer. That's one of the first things to realize. You're not a rescuer, you're a creator, right? Creators find solutions for people who are looking for them. There's a symbiosis there, right? They come together. Somebody's looking for something, you've got a solution, they come together and magic occurs. But not when people don't want something. So don't spend 5 minutes with people that don't want something. Learn to recognize that in your own ideal client profile. Be able to recognize it instantly when you're on the phone with that person, right? Can you recognize that immediately and say, nope, this is not the right person and let them go? Or are you going to try to push harder and sell somebody that's not a right fit for what it is that you're doing? So if you have that issue, you want to change it because you're spending your time going after somebody that you think should want what you have. And that's arrogant. I don't look at people and go, they should want what I have. I go after people that want what I have. I make myself available to those people. That conversation takes enough skill in and of itself. Even when somebody wants it, you have to help them walk past the block that causes them not to do it. So be very careful with the idea of this law, because this law is as very real as any of the other laws. I don't talk about it that much, but I am today because it's of vital importance to self-image. It's of vital importance to how you perceive your world. It's of vital importance to let you know that you could think much bigger without any more effort, right? Napoleon Hill pointed that way back out in the 30s. It doesn't take any more effort to aim high in life than it does to settle for, crap. It doesn't take any more effort. Nothing's big or small unless you make it so. And everything that you give out from yourself, it's not small. It's like I say that there's no small wins. Every win is a big win because the universe operates based on the fact that it's going out, cause and effect. You take an acorn, one acorn, you might say, it's one acorn, it's small, what's it going to do? It's going to give you one oak tree, and that oak tree produces 10,000 acorns or 10 million over a lifetime. It's the one thing. So the universe does not judge based on how big or small it is. Whatever you give comes back. When you smile at somebody and help them feel good about their day, it comes back, right? But it's all about consciousness. Get better and better at the skill sets that make the biggest difference in what you do so that you can move on to the next level of whatever your growth is. It's that simple.